Good evening, everyone. It's Dan's All About Arsenal, and we are here for probably the toughest show I think we've had to probably do since starting the channel. It's a very rare Arsenal loss on a game I think that meant a lot more to us than I can't recall a League Cup that ever meant so much to us. And I think we're here tonight to talk about it. It is a bit of a therapy session. These guys here, you've got Vinny, you've got Josh, Alex in spirit, and we might have some guests join us potentially. But it's been a tough 48 hours probably from rival fans, everything else. But if you're watching for the first time, please subscribe to the channel, get involved, and obviously we'd love you to see you back here. Ask your questions. We will fire away and answer them as we go. But we've got really good guys here, Vinny and Josh, top blokes. And obviously we need to talk about it. So who wants to start? By a show of hands, who wants to go first? Because being the host, it's up to you guys. Who wants to get off their chest the most about your thoughts on the game?
Go on, Vin.
Look, I'm always told I'm negative, so I don't want to go first. I don't want to start on a low note.
I don't think mine's going to be much more positive, to be honest.
But starting on a positive then, Vin. So Cherie's put in the chat, 3 more to win, lads. So there is positives there. We are still in 3 comps. This out of all 4 of them was the one that we cared about the least, but obviously we went to win some silverware. But obviously we are still in for 3 trophies, which is unbelievable, realistically. And but we got to get into it, you know. So I suppose talk to me about your feelings on the day when you saw the lineup. And I mean, I will bring up my biggest disappointment was Eza news just before. I was like, what that? And I text you guys going, what the hell? What happened to Eza? It was he just had an interview with Jamie Redknapp or something like that on Sky. So I was really, really surprised. But I think
now he's going to be out for about 6 weeks, isn't he?
I just saw that. Yeah, that was another kind of big news story today, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what can it be that's that bad? Because he seemed fine. So, but these things evolve. But go on, Vinny. Talk to me, mate. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I had the same thoughts. It was not long before the game was due to kick off. I got the news about Eza being out, and I was gutted. I was gutted, but I was still optimistic. Stupidly, I was still optimistic. The thing is, well, if anybody that's watched your shows and your content where I've been involved, numerous times you would have heard me say, we are going to win the Carabao Cup and we are going to win the league. And I believed that right up until the second half of that game. I honestly believed I was 100% right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the news broke about Eza. Was gutted about that, but was still optimistic. I looked at the lineup and I thought, we're a little bit light in the middle. You know, with Havertz playing the 10, I thought we were a bit light. But, you know, I didn't stop believing, to be honest with you. And from what I saw in the first half, at the end of it, we were still in it. We had our chances. They had a few chances. No one was really in the ascendancy, but, you know, it was all to play for going into the second half.
Agreed, mate.
You know?
Yeah, it was that first 10, 15 minutes for me when you know, and I think you look back in hindsight, we were in it. We had the best chance. They had no shots in that first half from what I recall from looking at the stats. And we had those 3 shots, which was all in quick succession. And the keeper, he done exceedingly well. But I think when you look back at it, and so many people were saying Havertz just needed to get rid of it earlier because he got tracked down so quick. And that changed the game. And it's an element of maybe rustiness or, you know, nerves or all this kind of stuff. But these things, you know, you can look back on. It's easy to say in hindsight, oh, you should have done this. You should have played the Kepa and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I don't blame him so much. I mean, at the end of the day, he fluffed his lines on that one, because if you look at the keeper's position when the ball was played through, if he had played it first time or taken 1 touch and then shot, he'd have had much more of the goal to aim for. But then the keeper closed him down pretty quickly because Havertz decided to take 3 more steps.
Yeah, and that was a bit.
It is what it is, right? It's not a striker in my eyes, so we kind of get what we pay for. So I'm not really going to complain about that. I mean, it still hurts. I can't even talk about it. It still hurts. And the thing is, it hurts because the issues are deeper than just one player. The issues are deeper than, you know, Havertz fluffing his line. The issues are deeper than Eza not being able to play. The issues are deeper than Kepa. You know, no one's even mentioned Kepa yet. But the issues are deeper than that in my eyes. I don't know how much I should go into.
It's hard, isn't it?
I've got so much bubbling away.
And I think this is what it's for, Vinny. Genuinely, this is a chance to get it off your chest. And well, I really want to hear your take, because we go in different ways, don't you? And that's why you probably saw the video I'd done early part of the week, and I literally, because I was really torn, and my video was Kepa or Raya, and it was simple as that. I was like, because in one breath, and it was so, honestly, I did it on all my platforms. And everyone's 50-50. There's elements of people going, well, you know, he deserves to play because he's been there from all the games to get us there. And then the other half was, let's play your best team, let's just win this. And and you kind of almost knew that something was going to happen. And as soon as he missed that ball, Jesus Christ.
I stupidly wasn't totally opposed to Kepa playing. And the thing is, I should have been, because I was there. Was it the Palace game that went to penalties? Yeah. I think it was the Palace game went to penalties, and he was absolutely shite. I mean, he was useless, absolutely useless. And from that moment, I had no belief in him. But stupidly, sentimentally, I thought he's brought us this far. You know, stick him in goal. They're going to put Trafford in goal. Let's give him a go. We brought him in for the cups. You know, let him see it through to the end, stupidly. And then he fluffs his lines. I mean, but it wasn't just him. It wasn't just him. He made the mistake for the first goal, could have done better in the second goal. But then, I tell you who I really feel sorry for. I feel sorry for our defence. Because all season, our defence has been brilliant, including Raya. We've done, you know, when we talk about who our players of the season are going to be, it's going to be someone from the back line, or it's going to be Rice. Do you know what I mean? It can't be anywhere else. But that's how well we've done at the back. But they're constantly let down by our front four. Constantly. Saka's fallen off a cliff. Our star boy. My star boy. Do you know what I mean? I want to believe in him, but he's fallen off a cliff. Since he's come back from injury, not been the same player. Arteta. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Why is Dalman getting no minutes? He did wonders when he came on at Everton. Everybody believed. The whole country talked about him. He was in all the headlines. Arteta gives him no minutes. Make that make sense. How does that make sense? It doesn't. When we need a number 10, where's Ranieri? I was saying it last season. Has Arteta got it in for him? Because last season, he wasn't getting enough minutes. This season, he's gone. So he's not even here to make a difference. Make it make sense. Arteta again. When I said our issues are deeper, they run deeper than one or two players or Kepa. It's deeper than that. A lot deeper than that. And it's just, I don't know, it's brought up some feelings in me. I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all.
And this is a therapy session. It's get it off your chest, because it's been a tough one and a tough ask. And Luca, we want to welcome Luca to the channel. He's a super sub for tonight. He's coming in. We appreciate you, mate, and thanks for reaching out. And finally, we have a show together, mate. So how are you?
Up to you, bro, and thank you for having me on. Much appreciate it. It's good to see you. Nice to meet everyone. Obviously, we didn't get the result on Sunday what we need, but I hope everyone is keeping well.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Keeping well.
Very much so. And Luca, like we sort of just talked about your channel just before you come on, actually, that you'd messaged in and stuff like that. So, you know, for everyone out there as well, you know, who's going to follow and watch this, just let them know your channel and where you're from, mate, because I think it's always good to...
Obviously, I do have a channel, but obviously I've not been doing YouTube for quite a while. I'm taking quite a bit of a long break, but I'm hoping back maybe in the summer or some point and start all over again. But obviously this is my channel. I'm on the road to 9.2k subscribers.
Incredible.
So obviously I'm on 9.15. So if anyone hasn't subscribed, I've been doing YouTube Shorts at the moment, but obviously I think I'm gonna come back into full-time basis maybe around August, July time. Around then, some point in the summer, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna start running the channel again. So I'm just taking a bit of a long break at the moment and just
for sure.
Life at the moment. But.
Absolutely. Sometimes you need a break, especially when the season's it's been frantic, mate, isn't it, to be fair? So we're kind of on the road, you know, we're a young channel, if you like, and we're on the road to 2000. So we're following in your footsteps, and you're a trailblazer for us, mate. And or we'll see if we can join you and getting up to the 10K one day. But it's a long old slog like this season's been, I think. So, but obviously at the moment, Luke, we've just been talking about just a game. We're just having a little vent. Gooner Vinny is getting off his chest because I think needs to. And I don't know if you're quite finished, Vin.
No, I'm not done. I'm not done. I was just taking a break so you could introduce our new man. I'm not done. I'm not finished.
So I want you to carry on. Go on, Vin.
Spine invertebrates. I remember that word from school. We're reptiles, spineless. A lot of our forwards, I should say. I shouldn't say the entire team. Our forwards, no teeth. Look who they had up front, right? Look at their front line. Haaland, best in Europe, right? Arguably the best in Europe. Bit of a ropey patch, but best in Europe, best in class. Semenyo, someone that we should have actually bought, but we will probably wait until the summer, as we normally do, and miss out on January targets because we don't spend money in January. They had Doku as well. Mm-hmm. Hasn't always got the best product, but he's a bit of a handful, even though Ben White did actually pocket him. I thought Ben White did really well against him. Contrast that to our guys. Gyökeres is up front, who's been unconvincing all season. Yeah? A big star striker purchase, unconvincing all season, unconvincing in the final. I already mentioned about Saka, not been the same player since coming back from injury.
Yeah.
Arteta broke him. And he's still broken. Poor Saka, heart goes out to him. And then who do we have on the left? Oh, my goodness, Trossard. Now, do you remember early on in the season, we said, who's our player of the season so far? This is probably like 2.5 months in, maybe 3 months in.
Yeah.
And I said it was Trossard. Where has he been in 2026? He's been absolutely useless.
It's true, mate. It's true. He disappeared, isn't he? I don't know why he's still getting a start over like a Martinelli or put Noni back on the left. I know he's not really had the chance. He's played him a couple of times there, but I think Noni deserves to be playing, over Saka. And I think that I can see Saka maybe getting rested a couple of games or being played in the FA Cup. But Noni, when he's been on, he didn't really get a chance to get much of an impact. Took a player on, he ran it off the field or whatever. But, we need to experiment with that left-hand side. But I still like Martinelli, and I think he's got the pace, and I think the game, given how they weren't coming on to us, the keeper, they were being really smart. And tactically, we know we basically got outdone. Arteta got done, on Sunday by the master. But and instead of going to the ball, they waited. And 40 odd seconds, was it 50 seconds at one point? Kepa was still rolling the ball back in his foot and hit the ball long if you want. We've got one of the tallest teams. That's why you go, well, get Martinelli on, kick it ahead, make some changes. But it just didn't seem to change. Okay. First half, we were good. I thought we had a good start. They come back into it, even Stevens, but we got shots off. And then nothing. We just fluffed it. After that, nothing happened. It was relentlessly them. And we kicked the ball out. They won it back. Every second ball they won. And it was really frustrating to watch that second half. And the goal was coming. And obviously, I think Kepa obviously was the issue, but he's not the reason I don't think we lost this game. But we just got outclassed on the day, personally.
We got outclassed. We got outclassed.
Ray would have helped, don't get me wrong, and he probably might have saved both of those goals, but it was beyond that. It was way beyond everything else because our attack was just not attacking. We couldn't get going. But that's my little take on it so far. But it's really, really.
Who selected Kepa? Arteta chose the team. Arteta again.
Yeah, he's got to take responsibility for that. 100%.
He's got to take responsibility. Arteta again.
Yeah.
Arteta again. Our front line, wearing dentures.
Yeah.
Toothless.
It has been. But we've been scoring goals, and that's why I think Ezeb is so important because I think he's come on so much in this last maybe month or so. He's taken an Odegaard role. He's started to making it his own. And typically it's like one's injured and Odegaard's probably coming back. And he just fucking thank God for that because it's been tough, without him. And all of a sudden we need him more than ever to come back and just settle things down, But I think, it's really, really tough, that middle. We lost the Mourinho's of the world who would normally come in and play in 50 different positions. So he's been a loss, I think, for us as well.
Yeah.
And it's been tough. It's been really tough, man. But I mean, Luke, let's get Luke obviously guest here as well for us. I'd love to just get your overall take on it, mate, for your thoughts on the overall game on Sunday, mate, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, no worries. Look, for me, as an Arsenal fan, I was confident going into this game against Man City. Obviously, I thought, you know what, the run what we've been at the moment, of course, this isn't the best Man City side. And look, you have a look at Mikel Arteta's tracking record before going into this game. A lot of Arsenal fans were confident. My prediction, I predicted 2-1 Arsenal. I thought Arsenal would nail it in extra time. I thought really it would be a battle. But I was very, very surprised the way we played. I'm very, very surprised how we didn't turn up. Like I agree with you, Dan. Like for me, I thought the first maybe 20 minutes we were in the game, and then after that, Man City really caught us. And to be honest, they fully deserved to win the game. And look, obviously, you're probably going to talk about the Kepa situation later on, but one thing I will say is I really think it came down to Mikel Arteta and Kepa, because I know I've seen fans saying about, oh, it's not just only Kepa, it's the players and that. Yeah, I get that. But I think Saliba and Gabriel were the two best players on the pitch. I thought they dealt with Haaland very carefully. And our record against Man City. I know Haaland scored against us at the Emirates in early in the league, but he doesn't barely score that much because Saliba and Gabriel know how to deal with Haaland. Hence why we've got the best two centre-halves in the league. But when the team news came out, Diaz was out. And then you're thinking Mark Gay's not available. Garvey now. Diaz, and you're thinking, okay, we're going to beat these lot, right?
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
And then from there, we just never turned up. And I'm thinking, look, not to disrespect Mikel Arteta here, right? But why would you start Kepa in goal, where David Raya has been the best goalkeeper in form throughout this whole season and has got us top of the league at the moment for now? And this is why, look, I understand before the whole build-up, every Arsenal fan, whether they went to the game and all that stuff, with me, I was down the pub watching the game, and we all knew that Kepa was going to start. It happens. Man City started James Trafford, and I'm thinking, okay, Donnarumma's not playing. And I didn't know that until Pep Guardiola said it in his press conference.
Yeah.
And now, of course, Kepa was in goal. I think Arteta, okay, fair enough. You've gone with your goalkeeper. Let's see how Arsenal do today to try and win the cup. But we didn't. And this is the thing. Like, Kepa makes really individual mistakes. And this is the problem. Yeah. Like, his catching ability isn't that great. He made one good catch. And his calmness isn't that great. And I understand you have an experienced goalkeeper. We don't really have a number 2 goalkeeper that's good enough to actually back. We did in the past, but of course we sold the wrong goalkeeper at the time. But now we've got David Raya, which is probably one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League, right? And he's up there with Alisson and Donnarumma. I still think Alisson's a good goalkeeper. I know people might have a bit of debate about him, but I think the performance was poor. Like, I thought Man City came out and surprised us, and it's so disappointing. Right, like obviously I'm a bit negative. In case anyone doesn't know about me, obviously I'm not Mikel Arteta's biggest fan, and I know a lot of people might not like what I'm going to say about Arteta, and I'm a bit negativity and all that stuff, and I understand that's an opinion, but I was confident ever since we beat Brighton away, right, and City dropped points against Forest and West Ham. I thought, you know, we're going to win the league very comfortably. But now I've kind of flip-flopped myself and thinking, I really hope this is not the crumble. I still think we will win the Premier League. And I think that is probably only going to be the trophy we are going to win. But I do think we will get it over the line. But part of me feels like I don't want to feel like we're going to crumble it, a bottle all 4 cups, because that would really not surprise me with Arsenal. And that would come down to Mikel Arteta. I do think we will win the Prem, but I think we will make it very, very, very hard for ourselves. I do think we are going to drop points. I don't see us winning all 7 games. And all we got to do is literally take this League Cup final out of the way. It's so disappointing to lose in the final. As an Arsenal fan, I was very surprised we lost that game. I thought we'd win that game. I expected Arsenal to continue their Wembley form. Look, I know you're not going to win every single game. I know how it feels to lose 4 League Cup finals. We haven't won a League Cup since 1993. Paul Merson, Sheffield Wednesday, 1987. And it's just disappointing. And you're playing against a Man City side where they have defended issues. And Pep Guardiola, don't get me wrong, he's a brilliant manager. He's better than Mikel Arteta, yeah. But one thing I will say is Arteta is now coming up the rise. Pep Guardiola is now coming towards the end of his career. And don't get me wrong, he could still go somewhere and do another job and maybe win a league title elsewhere. But I just feel like for me, Arteta got it all wrong, and I felt like the substitutions for me, Arteta, he should have made the subs at halftime. He should have made the subs at halftime. I thought the team selection, he got it wrong. Martinelli should have started that game. I know Martinelli sometimes hasn't been that great. Trossard had an absolute stinker, and even what Declan Rice come out and said, and look, I love Declan Rice. All Arsenal fans love Declan Rice. But what he come out and said in these comments, I disagree with him. I really
remind me. What did he say?
I can't exactly remember what he said, but he said something about we lost in the League Cup and all that. There's other trophies, or something like that. I can't really remember what he said.
Okay, fair enough.
I have to read it back at another place at a time, but I kind of disagree with what Rice says, because that was an opportunity to win the League Cup. Like I know we don't have a very good tracking record, but I understand that we got to the final. But the mentality is to win trophies. That's the thing. The aim for an elite sport is to win trophies, and that's why I look at us, Arsenal fans. Even under George Graham, under Wenger, we were winning trophies. And look, I feel like this is a very, very disappointing. I just hope, look, the international break. Look, I'm not a fan of the international break. I think it's boring. Watching England is against 2-pointers friendlies, just to see half of the players for Arsenal now, like the likes of Saliba and them lot, are now obviously withdrawing because they don't want to be part of it. They want to continue. One thing I will say is, I know Saliba signed that new contract, but the face he looked on his face, if we don't win the Premier League or the Champions League, Saliba could look at that contract and feel like Real Madrid could be sniffing him in the summer.
There's always that fear, mate. Yeah, for sure.
It is feeling like it could be the end of an era if we don't get someone major over the line.
But I just hope it does not come to that, what it was under Wenger days, under Van Persie, Fabregas, Clichy, Nasri, Adebayor. I just hope we don't go. And the positive thing is, I know we were so bad back then, right? And even with Arsenal, when we had the Deadwood, like the Mustafis and then Santoses and that, and Spalacci, Silvestris. But I just feel like, I know we've come through a long path and we've completely changed the culture. The fans are now, this is our best chance to win the league this season. I backed Liverpool to win the league at the start of the season. Yeah. But the problem is, they bought so many players that couldn't get the best out of it. Arne Slot is a one-season wonder. He's a decent manager. Don't get me wrong. Last season was a freak season. This season, everyone's backed Arsenal to win the league. I do think we will win the Premier League. I am confident we'll win the league. I don't think we'll win the Champions League and the FA Cup. I think it's only going to be the Premier League. And that's it.
I kind of don't disagree with that, Luca, to be honest with you, because I think obviously this whole quadruple talk and everything else, and I think when you looked at that and they worked out there was like a 5% chance for quadruple, it was all kind of just headlines and stuff like that and clickbait and all that kind of thing. And I'm a fair realist, and I think that the Premier League, I think we're okay. We've hopefully got a big enough lead. The fact that we're hopefully, I mean, the international break, like you said, is come back.
We cannot bottle it from here.
No, exactly. Such a big lead.
I do think we will get it over the line, and I do think we'll celebrate at the end of the season winning the Premier League trophy. But I want to ask you a question. Do you think? Look, I'm not Mikel Arteta's biggest fan. The only way I'll be Mikel Arteta in if he wins that Premier League, and he's got to prove to every Arsenal fan, not just only me, but he's got to prove to every single Arsenal fan to win a trophy big this season. But if he does not win anything this season, or if he only wins the Premier League, do you set that a good season for Arsenal, or do you want to see Arsenal win 2 trophies, whether it's the Champions League or the FA Cup on top of that?
Yeah, I think for me, I can't speak for everyone else, but
that's okay.
It'll be disappointing, I think, because I think we're expecting almost now the league is ours. You're right, but I think I'm fortunate. I think we're fortunate in a way with the international break and the games we have when we come back is the FA Cup, and then we've got Champions League before the next kind of league, so to get us back in our groove and see how that goes. Because I think we should be. Is it Southampton, isn't it? It's it should be a game we should win, and it gives us maybe more impetus to go in and go, actually, look, right, let's get this FA Cup tied up as well. Let's go for another one. Let's go for Champions League. We are still in everything, and it could turn out to be an unbelievable season still. A treble which as far as I'm concerned. We've never done doubles. We've done, but never a treble, never a Champions League. So it's all to play for. It's going to be tough. The teams that are left in that are incredible teams, and I know we've had a really kind of easy passageway at the moment into it, but you can't take anything for granted, especially the way we just performed. But it's like anything. We always, off the back of the last performance, is how we kind of go into the next game almost. That's how I kind of mentally, I was like, we smashed Everton. It was such an occasion, Dowman goal, all that kind of stuff. We come in this super confident. And if it was the last 6 meetings, wasn't it? We'd won 3, drawn 3 with Man City. Our form has been so much better than theirs. So that's why I think we're so expectant that we were going to win this game easily. And I think that's the biggest disappointment. We'd hyped it up so much that we're like, we're winning this, guys. We're winning this for sure. But Luke, I appreciate your thoughts, mate. We're going to come back to you because I want to get Josh involved as well. We do have one question that's just come in, though. Just I don't want to kind of miss it while Steve is watching. So if anyone else has got questions, chuck them in. So I'll read this out just so you can hear it, guys. But it says, "Great show, lads," which we appreciate. Is it anybody worried about our lack of creativity going into the last 7 games without Eze and Odegaard? Can we limp over the line? Thanks for the question, Steve. But Josh, mate, I'll put that to you. And then we're going to talk about the game from your perspective as well. But how do you feel about that? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it sounds like Odegaard's going to be back, even though Eze's out. It's a real shame with Eze because obviously he really comes alive in the spring, doesn't he? So it's kind of a bit sod's law, isn't it, that he's going to be out for a considerable amount of time. And just when he was starting to hit a bit of form as well, and that's what we lacked really in the final at the weekend. We lacked that little sort of spark of creativity, even after the first sort of 20 minutes when I thought we were pretty decent, and everything looked okay. We do have spells in the game where we sit back, let the other opposition onto us, and we kind of soak up that pressure. That's where I think the real kind of mistake in terms of choosing Kepa was he was just slowing it down far too much, and Man City knew that, so that's why they kind of sat there in their sort of like banks of 4, and they as Kepa was holding on to the ball, they were just sort of slowly getting closer and closer and penning us in. And then that's why mistakes happen. Obviously there was the challenge which could have potentially have been sent off for, like, this is Kepa on it was Cherky, I think, wasn't it? He come like rushing out and he sort of like went to control the ball and then didn't and completely fluffed it. Luckily, it wasn't in the area. It was, outside. But that was the first sort of major incident that he did. And then, obviously, the first goal is just like, that's just typical him. That would not have happened if that was Raya. I'm telling you now, that would not have happened. And I think, like I say, we do have spells in a game where we let the opposition come onto us and we kind of soak that pressure up, and that's another thing that Raya is good at. He's good at in them periods where we are soaking up the pressure. He's solid, and his distribution's good, whereas Kepa's is pretty awful. I just think it was a big mistake to play him. I wasn't keen on it in the first instance, but thought, potentially might get us over the line. But it's just proved it, really, isn't it? That he's still the record for the most expensive goalkeeper ever.
Yeah.
72 million.
So, which if you was to say, right, that's your backup goalkeeper, we bought him for 5 million or whatever, which it's a bargain. That's your backup goalkeeper, fine. But when you're in a final of a competition against your essentially biggest rival at this present time, like, you play your strongest team. Obviously, the Eze being injured is just really unfortunate. Havertz, he's just not up to it at the moment. He's not fully fit. He's not sort of that match sharp in the big games like that as well. Yeah, and I think, you know, I sort of reiterate what Luke said and Vinny in terms of like should have made the substitutions quicker. I think Nketiah wasn't very good, which you know he has been good recently, but he wasn't overly great. Looked a little bit uncomfortable with Semenyo, and then when Calafiori did come on, albeit far too late, he kind of gave us that little bit extra going forward as well. And you know, and he looked fairly solid defensively. But having said that, you know, they still scored 2 goals. But yeah, it's just a bit of a sucker punch, isn't it? In terms of like, it would have been nice to have won it, and then that gives you the confidence and everything to go on and go, right, yeah, we're going to win the league. Whereas now it's kind of like, oh, I don't know, you know, like because you know, the reverse of that is that Man City have won it, and that might give them even more of a boost and go, well, actually, we can catch them. Do you know what I mean? Like we've still got to play them at theirs. So then let's say that's the game in hand. Well, that then brings it down to like a 3-point gap, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like
you've got West Ham away and they're fighting for survival.
Well, yeah, exactly. And this is, you know, something I talk with my father-in-law quite a lot about football. He's, you know, big into his football, but he's a Liverpool fan. And you know, that's the worst sort of teams. Like we both say it, but worst sort of teams you want to be playing this time of year are the ones fighting for survival, because you know they're really up for it. I've said it many times on this podcast as well. We are everyone's cup final. They always turn up against us, you know. So yeah, that's the sort of. I mean, the one advantage we've got is that we're not travelling very far, apart from the Man City game. I think that's it, really, isn't it? I think they're all pretty much in London now.
Either at home or in London. Yeah, we're lucky in that. Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter, does it? At the end of the day, we've just got to go out and win the rest of our games, and hope that we get a result against City. I think if, do you know what? Even if we were to win the rest of our games, bar Man City, we lost to Man City, that would kind of put a little bit of a, and obviously that would then see us over the line in terms of winning the Premier League. It still puts a little bit of a tarnish on it for me.
It's because we're limping over the line.
Against all the other big teams, like the big players in this league, we've not really. I'm trying to think. So we lost and drew to Liverpool.
Yeah,
we drew with Man City at home. Chelsea we've drawn and beaten. Villa we lost and beat. So do you know what I mean? Like against like the bigger teams, we seem to have struggled, and that just gives more ammunition for all these like TV pundits, ex-players of other teams. You know, it gives them more ammunition to sort of just say that we're almost like not worthy of this Premier League title. But I mean, in my eyes, it's still a very competitive league. It's still very you know, right from even like teams like Wolves, obviously, unfortunately for them, they've come into form late, a bit too late. But you know, they're not a bad side. Like they can beat anyone on their day.
Exactly that. It's a really competitive league, and that's what I think annoyed me quite a lot. The amount of people who went, "Oh, it's just a really easy league." Just, you know, all of a sudden it's really easy, and Arsenal having it the worst league to win, all that rubbish. Before we haven't won it yet, but you know, all of a sudden with Man City come back and win it, are they the best? You know, all of a sudden the best. It's just typical.
It just completely changes the narrative of it all, doesn't it? And
always, and that's the biggest frustration.
And that's again what I mean in terms of even if we were to win all of our games, bar the Man City game, and then obviously lift the Premier League title, that's still, for me, that tarnishes it.
Yeah, no,
like we need to go there and have a bit of retribution for losing, for not turning up, essentially, for not turning up at the cup final. Yeah.
Okay, out of interest, just to chuck a question out there. if you before this game was done, he said, look, if you're going to lose the Carabao Cup, but you're going to beat Man City away, what would you have taken out of interest? But you guarantee the league, but you're going to lose the cup. What would you say?
Yeah, I'd probably go with that. I probably would say that personally.
We'll say that after we beat them away, hopefully. But it all depends on how, I suppose, Arteta reacts and adapts, and we can't get caught the way they lined up. And I think from what I'd listened and read and all that kind of stuff, the way they set up, knowing that they've got a weak back line, they made sure we didn't get there. So the way they set up was the box us in. Like you say, we couldn't get past midfield. We hardly, and that's the thing. We got out tic-tac basically from one of the best managers in the world.
Do you know what? For as much as we kept Haaland quiet in terms of, obviously he didn't really have any chances and stuff like that, and I thought Saliba and Gabriel dealt with him really, really well, but he was still causing a nuisance, and he was still closing us down. That press that they were doing, he was a massive part of that. And so they're sort of that they didn't really have a front four. They had a front four, not a front three. They had Haaland, and then they had Semenyo, Churchy, Bernardo. They I thought Bernardo Silva played really well for them. They got themselves out of a few little sort of tight spots and stuff like that. So I mean, hats off to them. They did, they set up well, and they outplayed us. But in sort of hindsight, you look at it and sort of go, we just didn't turn up. It just looked like we weren't that bothered.
No,
like there was no kind of like fight there. Do you know what I mean?
It definitely, they looked deflated, mate, didn't they? Like you've come from one of your biggest games in the season.
That was even sort of like 0-0. At 0-0, we looked like, I don't know, like we'd sort of, we'd just played a cup final, and this was like a bit of a hangover game.
Almost. Yeah. Did you look at when they were like, huddling in the huddle and all the time? I thought Man City looked really nervous, and honestly, I was thinking we've got this genuinely. And I was looking at Haaland's face and all the players, and they just looked concerned. Even Pep, just before the game, was like, I've just got the tallest defenders on because I'm really worried about set pieces. And it was just like, they are genuinely concerned about us. And then it was just a walkout. It was almost like a walkout.
Or is it a bit of a bluff? Is that a bit of a bluff? Like
it looked genuine to me. Like, I know he's a bit mind games, all this kind of stuff, but I genuinely think he was, the way he celebrated as well, it meant a lot more, because I think he generally come in thinking, yeah, we're going to struggle today. But he outsmarted it, and it was tactical as well as the keeper situation. For me, it is the big issue here. And I don't know if you saw Luca as well. I stuck out some shorts and stuff going, which keeper? And honestly, mate, 50-50 split. And it was just like that the whole week, because I'd stuck that out early Tuesday, Wednesday, and all week it was just going back and forth. And it wasn't even split. But I think, obviously, hindsight, you'd be like, well,
hindsight,
right, yeah. And that's
anybody saying they wanted Kepa would purely have been saying that on sentimental terms, not because he deserved it.
Yeah. And I think, and a lot of people generally were going, we just want to win it. Best team, get it out, get it done. Let's win this, on to the next. And that's the frustration. But
there is a part of me that actually feels sorry for Kepa in a way, because of the way his career's gone. Like I say, the most expensive goalkeeper in history.
Mm-hmm.
He's won a Champions League. I think it might be 2 Champions Leagues he's won. But yet he's kind of like gets to a final and it's always tarnished with some sort of like mistake, or there's three League Cup finals that he's played in. One, he refused to come off because they wanted to put on someone for the penalties, didn't they? The next one, he missed the penalty, which then meant, because everyone had scored, this was against Liverpool, everyone had scored their penalties, and then he missed, and then Liverpool's goalie, which was Kelleher at the time, scored his, which then meant they won. And then obviously in our cup final, he's like, had a bit of a howler, to be honest.
I mean, the signs were there, the signs.
Well, this is what I mean. Like the signs are there for you not to play him. So yes, there's that sentimental kind of side of it, and going, oh, he trains really well during the week. Well, I'm not being funny. This is their job. I don't want to turn into Roy Keane here, but this is their job. They get paid an awful lot of money to train 6 days a week and play, 2 games a week or whatever. It's not. I don't think you can base it on that. Do you know what I mean? You have to base it on the fact of kind of, however that player is doing in the games. And Raya has been a standout for us all season. He's got the most clean sheets. Some would argue that that's because of our defence as well, which, that obviously is a massive contribution to him having clean sheets. But the amount of absolute worldy saves that he's done this season, and last season, and the season before that,
been unreal.
Yeah, you've got to go with him as well.
I think this is just underlying how important he is.
Tactically, because of the way Kepa was slowing it down so much with the ball at his feet. That's where Raya wouldn't have done that. He's always looking to play that sort of quick pass, or if there isn't something on, he will go a little bit longer. But his distribution's that good that he will find a player.
Yeah.
Yes, on the odd occasion he might not, but in general.
Yeah, they had so much time to get organised every time, didn't they? But, okay,
exactly.
Got him. Bring it on, and just nothing. Couldn't get going. But obviously,
as a unit, then Raya, the back four, and Zubamendi and Rice, you could now see how critical and how much they rely on Raya doing Raya things to make that whole unit tick.
Yeah.
And he's part of the heartbeat of that unit. Do you know what I mean? He's so important because you take him out and you see they don't function in the same way. They're unable to function in the same way because they can't get the ball out the back. They can't play it up into the midfield because you've normally got him at the back and he's almost acting as one of the back four when he's pushing up, or if he is in his own box with the four ahead of him, as you say, he's able to find a pass to get our attacks going rather than just lumping it up the field, which is so often what Kepa was doing.
Yeah,
it could be like an inverted keeper. We'll get him in midfield or something. He does play up that high. But I mean, obviously, with the game aside, obviously there is obviously today a load of announcements on obviously injuries, and I think this is more. I think finally Arsenal being a bit more savvier with injuries for internationals. They are bullshit friendlies. Let's be honest, that no one's really going to bother watching. And even the international team, surely they're like, let's just save. I like what we've done. England team's done, and they've put in some fringe players on. Let's see how they do for a game. Let's get people out there. Let's see who might break through, but gives everyone a rest. All the ones who realistically we're going to take. And I think Tuchel's done I think it's really sensible, and I respect it. But I think he knows, Jesus, how many games these players are playing. We've hit 50 games. It was 50 games we've hit. Out the 50, we've only lost 4 games all season, and it was something like a 78% win rate, which is crazy, really. So although we're moaning about this result because of what it meant, we've been unreal, as a team this season. So we can't forget all the hard work that's gone in, but we need to see this season off. We need to win the league, and if we can win something else, bonus. I think at this rate, but the league is so important. It's 22 years in the making. It's why I put the shirt on tonight. I was like, just to remind myself, we did win something one day, and this was the shirt that we wore after the Invincible season, I think, from memory. Because and it's just, I just needed a reminder. We'll be all right. Please tell me we'll be all right. But with the injury concerns potential, are we worried? Are they legit? Are they not? Are they being cautious?
I think they're lying.
I think for me, with this whole Eze situation, look, for me, like I said at the beginning of the show, I was confident we were going to win the league since Man City dropped points in those 2 games against Forest and West Ham. But now I had a bit of a meltdown today. Obviously, Eze now injured. We have to rely if Martin Odegaard's going to be back after the international break, because this is the thing of history what Mikel Arteta has, rushing players back, and it all doesn't happen. Bukayo Saka's not been the same player himself. He entered Bukayo Saka when he got injured in that game against Palace in the 24-25 season when we beat them 5-1 at the end of 2024. And this is the thing, you've got to have a look at it. Mikel Arteta now has to rely on creativity, because Havertz in that League Cup final on Sunday was not remain to be seen. And look, don't get me wrong, I like Kai Havertz, but he can be frustrated at times. And I know a player like that, of that caliber, is coming back from injury. And I don't feel like he's not very good in that number 10. And why don't we not play Bukayo Saka in that number 10?
I'll be tempted.
Why can't we not try that?
I like him.
Yeah, I
in the
mean,
middle.
you like him there, Dan, didn't you?
I respect it because you've got Noni on as well. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. I was almost thinking we'd have Noni right, Saka in the middle, and I'd also just go put Eze out on the left before he was injured. And I thought, that would be interesting because he can play on the left. But obviously, Martinelli for me, and I think Trossard's got to be, rested, dropped. He just looks fucking ill and angry every time he comes on at the moment. And I think Saka
has to start. Look, obviously, we need to cry out and go and get a winger in the summer. I still look, Trossard for me he's been great this season for Arsenal. But I feel like the last few weeks he's been absolutely poor. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's form. Maybe it all can happen to players. But I just feel like Trossard needs to be dropped in. The next game is Southampton. Look, for me, Martinelli's probably going to play in that game. He does well in these cup competitions, but in the league, he does need to get that form back. And I hope, for me, one of them is going to go in the summer. I don't see Arsenal getting rid of both. I think if one of them goes, I can probably end up seeing Martinelli going out the whole two. I can see Trossard staying for another season. And look, we do need a winger in the summer. I feel like we need that left-hand side. Despite, look, Bukayo Saka isn't the player. Look, don't get me wrong, we love Bukayo Saka. He's still an important player to the team. He could put on a shift on a one-off game, but he's not consistent as he was. Whether it comes down to the injury, whether it comes down to Mikel rushing him, I don't know what it is. 300 grand a week, you're paying for this guy. He's just going to sit there with the money. And look, for me, I know he's a very important player. I think there's loads of targets we can go and get in the summer. I feel like we need that winger that's going to beat the last man, that's going to win games. A bit like Overmars, Robert Perez, Alexis Sanchez kind of type of player. We haven't had any of that since then. You look at names who we've been linked with. I feel like Kafashkelia, obviously, that's not really maybe someone like that Juventus guy we've been linked with as well. I feel like we need to go and get someone like that.
Yeah, we need to go big on the left. That I think that goes about
the Turkish guy Yildiz.
Yeah, he's been doing well.
Yeah.
There's a name
for you,
he's one of the best second youngsters in the world in that position, and that's somewhere Arsenal should go and get. And I feel like that. I feel like we need to go and get that. I feel the midfield. Look, Zubimendi. I love Zubimendi. Don't get me wrong. I've always rated Zubimendi, but I feel like the last few weeks, I feel like Zubimendi, he's okay for a squad player, but I feel like maybe we haven't replaced Thomas Partey, really. I just feel like I just think Zubimendi, he's good in around the team. He could put in a good shift. He could score goals, but
I think with Zubimendi, he's just had a little drop off in form. Really,
he started well, didn't he?
I rate him quite highly. I'd say he's more than just a squad player, definitely.
I think for me, we should go for someone like Elliot Anderson, because I was watching the Tottenham game on the weekend.
Yeah, no, I like him.
I do like Anderson.
He was really, really good on the ball. He was very good. He's got that engine about him and that machine about him. I feel like Arsenal needs someone alongside Declan Rice. Not to disrespect Zubimendi. I think if we win the league this season, I don't know whether people will talk about, would Arsenal still need to go and get a replacement under Declan Rice? Because I just feel like maybe we do need to go and get someone like that in the remaining future. If Zubimendi could start getting his form what he was, we don't need to go and strengthen that position. I feel like the more ideal I can see Arsenal doing is maybe they'll look for someone like that in the summer. I don't see us getting Elliot Anderson. I think Tonali will be a brilliant signing for Arsenal. And I do think if we do win the league this season, I think Tonali will become an Arsenal player next season, because that whole January transfer window rumour, that was just, I don't believe any of that rumour. I think it's just round to try and maybe for clickbait or anything like that. But Tonali will be a fantastic signing. I feel like if Jesus goes, which I think, I still think we need a striker. I do. I know a lot of people.
do.
I think we need, I don't know which striker we need.
I know Josh has talked a lot about Alvarez. Has been Josh
Alvarez from Atletico.
We can get Alvarez, Tonali, and I think we should get rid of Odegaard. But if he can help us win the league and get his form in the last 7 games and somehow get something against Man City, then I feel like, okay, well done, Martin Odegaard. But the captain's going to be passed to Declan when we lift that Premier League title. Because if we do win the Premier League this season, I don't want to see Odegaard lifting it first. Of course, everyone else is going to get their turn. But I want to see Rice lifting it up first if we win the league at Palace. And if I had to get a replacement for Declan, I mean, not Declan, Odegaard, sorry, I'd go for Morgan Rogers, someone like that.
Yeah, again, great form this season. It was a great season. Obviously, away with England again as well. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer because we've had such a mental summer just gone, with the biggest we've ever had. So many players, lots of names, and it's got us to where we are today. But we're still not 100%. The attack's still not right as we've seen. But I say, if we're getting some big names like this, and I think depending what we win, and then when they talked about the quadruple, you go, we can have anyone we want. The shopping list is endless. Like, we can go and get whoever if we're winning everything. But I do. Is it going to tarnish us if we're not winning more than one thing? Is it going to?
I think if we win the league this season, players like that who I've just mentioned, even if we don't win more than one thing, it will be. I think it'll be. Look, even if we win the league this season, not only we will go crazy out of our heads, but obviously for the people who like me or any other people who haven't experienced winning the Premier League title for Arsenal, people growing up as Arsenal fans, people who have gone and seen Arsenal winning league titles under George Graham and that, etc., or the early 2000s. Like, for instance, I think for me, if we don't get more than one trophy, it will be disappointing. But I feel like people talk about this whole quadruple thing. It's very difficult to do. Liverpool almost tried to do it. There were a couple of games away in 2022. Liverpool had a very good side, but of course, they obviously didn't win the Premier League that season. Obviously, it was Man City. So that's why I feel look, if I want the Premier League and the FA Cup, Champions League will be a very good break, very, very, very good. Obviously, looking at the draw, we can get, but if we beat Sporting Lisbon, not to disrespect, I feel like the first leg will be a very, very tough game. I can see Arsenal maybe getting a draw in that game and then beating them in the second leg very comfortably. And then the semi-final sets up to be a Barcelona or
it's looking like it, isn't it? Let's be honest.
And I feel Barcelona in a one-off game, if Arsenal really don't do what happened on Sunday, I feel Arsenal, different game, European stage, front of the fans. I think if Arsenal, the first leg, I believe, will be at the Nou Camp, Arsenal are going to have to try and go to the Nou Camp and try and go there. I'd rather play Atletico Madrid because Simeone will be very defensive, and Arsenal away from home against Atletico. Okay, Atletico Madrid are very good at home, but away from home they're very bad.
Oh, we smashed them up, didn't we, earlier in the season? So we know we can beat them at home comfortably. But it's going to be interesting, I think, how it all kind of untangles and goes through, because we've got still a lot of football to play. Good, couple of months ahead. But I want to stuck a question out to Vinny as well. Don't get you involved, Vinny. But do you think Arsenal can bounce back and stay dominant in a title race in these final games, given the Sunday result?
I think we'll see more of what we've been seeing since the new year, which is very much up and down performances, up and down results, but just enough to keep our noses in front. I think we're just going to see that for the remaining games this season. I think we'll limp over the line, unfortunately. So I think there's going to be a few moments where we think, yeah, that's it, we're there, we've done it, and then we'll probably have a run of a couple of draws or something, which will let Man City back in it again and give us another squeaky bum. We haven't looked convincing in the last few. I'd say over the last 6 or 7 seasons, we've had 1 or 2 teams who have been head and shoulders above everybody else. We've not been that. We've been at the top for a long amount of time this season, but we've not really looked that convincing. Our defence have done most of the heavy lifting for us, and we've nicked goals. We've never really looked. We've never really blown anyone away, and I don't see that changing. We've got Eze out now, so we're actually weaker going into the remainder of the season than we were over the last couple of months. we'll make it, but I think we're going to have more ups and downs along the way.
It's not going to be pretty, but we're going to make it.
We're going to make it. It's not going to be pretty, but I think we'll make it. But either way, I'll be there at the parade. I'll be shouting louder than anyone else. I'll be screaming my heart out, and I'll be happy. And I won't care what the ops say when they say it's the worst league and the worst. I don't care what they say. As long as we win, we just have to win the league. And if we don't, changes have to be made.
Yeah. That's what I fear. I think we will, and I know, Luke, you've said, I'm an Arteta inner, I suppose, rather than out. And I know everyone, there's always going to be a split, in these, but generally I've appreciated how and where we've got to, but we do. And this season at the start of it has always been, he's got to win something this season, isn't it? He's got to get across the line. Otherwise questions are going to be asked, heads are potentially going to roll. We're all going to lose our shit because we've been so desperate and second place for 3 seasons. We can't do it again purely just for rival fans. We need something for us fans who have stood strong and said, "Oh, come, let's roll again. Let's go again. We were so close." Or injuries happened this season. We've got excuses, whatever it may be. I don't think there's any excuse this season. I think it's got to be done, and we've got to go out and we've got to win it. And it's in our control. If we control our games, we win our games, we win the league. That's what it comes down to. I don't think Man City are going to be perfect in this final run.
No.
I think points are going to be dropped for sure. And I think it's still going to be a huge game when we play them. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's going to be the be all and end all if we lose that game because of the points difference. But it could, like you say, it could bring it right really close and really frustrating. And there's going to be a lot of, watching the football like this, waiting for it to get through. But we've got to enjoy the ride. It's been. We've had peaks and troughs throughout this experience, even on the podcast. A lot of positives, or we have one really good game. Like, we haven't really touched on Leverkusen. I think it's too late to even go into that because it's so far ago, and it was all about the cup. But we just need to remember where we are, what we've done. We are 9 points still clear at the moment, and we are in control. But let's not lose our way. And I think the first game back, we've had a reaction every time we've lost a game. At the 4 games, we always come back and we go on a run. So I'm hoping the boys will react, but they need to have a word with themselves. They're going to be disappointed in this one-off coin flip of a cup final, but obviously they've been, in control to a certain extent, and the way they're playing, we're getting across the line each game. But Everton was huge; it was a massive game, and it's in City's hands as well. The nerves are there. Can they pull this back? They've got a lot to do. To get back in, it's only down to us. We're our own worst enemy if we let them back in, to be honest with you. So, but that's just my take on it. But
quick question.
Go on.
What's the state of Odegaard's injury?
I think they were saying he could be back for the game on Sunday, but it didn't quite make it. But they fully expect to do back for Southampton. So I think you'll see him start. That we've got no choice probably because there's not going to be anyone else really who can play that role, and Havertz should be either benched or start up front, to give him more time for match fitness, give Gyökeres a rest and bring him on, make it have an impact player. We didn't have that really, unless it was like a Dowman, but I kind of thought on Sunday it was like they're not going to bring a Dowman on to try and bring us back. It's too late. We're not playing. We're not even getting up there to sort of make things happen. I'd have loved to have seen it. Oh no, I'd have loved to have seen it. But I just think he was just more cautious. He didn't want to put it on his shoulders, I think. And I think for all that was wrong, I never thought he would put him on. But I was shouting at the telly for a long time saying, get Martinelli off, get Calafiori on, because Encampia had a yellow card so early on that it threw his game. Semenyo had him all game, I think. He was beating him several times. And I think he likes to play aggressive, doesn't he? And as soon as he got that, it was a stupid yellow card. As well, it was a nothing thing that I think I just threw his game because he likes to be big in the challenge and everything else. But Calafiori made a big difference when he came on, as you said, but it was maybe too late, and the changes should have been made earlier, and that's what's frustrating. Gyökeres didn't do anything, but we didn't supply anything either. Saka was poor, and I say Rice and Zubi done okay, but for me, like you say, defensive guys perfect. I think Ben White done okay. He's not played much, but I put him down as a match winner, and I love that fact he's been called up for England again, by the way, to chuck that out there, because that was also news today. And disappointment was the general consensus. As soon as it finished, I turned it off. I was like, I don't want to watch them pick up a trophy. I'm done. So, and I just stayed off social media for a bit because I was like, I just can't face the what we're going to get. Even the people on some of my videos, I've got comments and stuff going, oh, the wheels are coming off, and it's all that kind of stuff, which I fully, you expect to a certain extent. But again, look at the position we're in. We've got to remember where we are, and we're Arsenal fans. We're going to support until the very end, and then we can reflect at the end of the season, and we'll get us all back, and we're going to be talking about it, no doubt. But if we win the league, are we still going to the celebration? We're going to go 100%. See the bus. 100%. Luca, are you going to see the bus if we win?
I'll be there, bro. I'll be there. And I'll be celebrating like mad. I'll be partying in the streets. I'll be going crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's just
that's all we need to do. Get this over the line. Get it over the line, and we can go
on. Do not mess this up, please.
Exactly. I don't think I could take them messing this up at this stage. It will be, it would be. But it's not. I can't even think about it, to be honest with you. So I think we just have to move on. But obviously, we've kind of hit the hour mark, which we try and keep it to an hour because it's a lot of everyone's time as well and everything else. But I want to check out there if there's any questions anyone wants to ask, anyone in the chat box who wants to stick it out there. But any questions, boys, that you want to put to each other before we go?
The only question I have is, why was Dalman on the bench? Saka's having an absolute stinker, and rather than take him off, you just put him in a different position on the pitch. How does that make sense? Why was Dalman even on the bench? Who's the better number 10 at the moment, him or Saka?
Probably Dalman.
That's what I mean. And it answers itself. I don't understand. If he's too young and you don't want to put pressure on his shoulders, don't put him on the bench. Don't put him on the bench. What's the point?
Yeah, he's that game changer potentially. You could have thrown in there.
Exactly. Yeah, he's a Hail Mary. He's the only one who brings something to that game that no one else on the pitch can do.
Take players on and slide through, and that
exactly. Yeah, and it may not come off, but no one else is going to try anything.
No, exactly. No, I fully agree with you, Vinny. Like, we'll never know, unfortunately, but it could have been something that. Why the hell not? We've got nothing. As soon as that second goal went in, get him on. Let the kid do what he does. He just wants to come and play football. Let him go and win the game. We'll get a goal back, get us in. But it's it's frustrating. Just a frustrating overall game that we'll just forget very quickly. Get this international bracket, game out the way, and we'll go from there. So, but no, boys, I appreciate it. Any other questions before we go?
One question I want to ask. Do you think we'll win all 7 games?
I'll go through the game, shall we? I've got the list here. Jesus,
not a chance.
So we're coming. So let's just do league. Let's look at the league. So we've got Bournemouth. Is the first game back at home. What do we think? I think Bournemouth. We should beat them. It should be a 1-2-0. Yeah. Then Champions League games. Then we got City as our next league game after that, which is going to be a big game.
Yeah,
we're not going to win that.
It's going to be a tough game following what's just happened. I don't think we can get our heads around even contemplating a draw or a loss. If we won, fantastic. Then we've got Newcastle at ours, who have been on weird form. To be honest with you, because obviously I was washing the cars on Sunday. I was listening to the game, against Sunderland, and they just can't keep a lead. I think is the honest answer at the moment. They really, really are struggling. But that should be a game at home. They're one of those teams for us, aren't they? It's a tough game. But we could win. It could be a draw. I don't, bearing in mind we haven't lost many games this season, and I think we've got to try and bring that context back in. But then next it's Fulham. Again, they've found some good form, but I think we've got enough to do it. Or there's enough Arsenal boys, ex-Arsenal boys, who would just allow us to win. Hopefully, on that one. West Ham, like we said earlier, is going to be a big game because West Ham are going to be fighting. We hope Tottenham are going to Tottenham have got a harder run, I think, at the moment. I think they're really. I can see Tottenham genuinely.
Love to see him go down.
Absolutely I know that would be. Go down. That would be part of the quadruple. If we won everything else, I'll take it. But West Ham are going to be. I think it'll be a tough game, and we struggled last season against them. But I think Somerville's out. He's been one of their best players. I don't know if he's going to be back by then. but he's been unbelievable. I like him as a player, to be fair. Then we've got Burnley. Burnley are down, aren't they? Down and out.
They're down, yeah.
So I think that should be a win. And then Crystal Palace away is the last game of the season. So how do you feel about that running, chaps?
I think for me, the only game I'm a bit worried about is Man City. And to be honest, we don't have a very good record against Man City. And this is why, at best, we can get a draw. But I really hope Arsenal need to go toe-to-toe with Man City. Please do not be afraid against Man City, because I know City haven't lost at home this season, apart from Real Madrid in the Champions League. But that's the only game I'm worried about. Yeah, West Ham's going to be a difficult game. There might be the relegation battle. West Ham, Tottenham battling two London derby teams, battling for relegation. I feel like maybe another game on top of that is maybe Newcastle at home. A bit of a strange team this season. They do leak quite a lot of goals. I'm very surprised that they lost at home to Sunderland, to their own rivals. But
it's huge, isn't it?
Over the years, Newcastle have obviously gotten results against us at the Emirates, and I even remember the League Cup when they beat us home and away. But I think the only game we're going to struggle is Man City. It's the only game. The rest, I'm confident with.
Yeah, I think we'll get something out of most games. And like you said, the City game's a question mark. But bearing that in mind, if we're doing everything else, then we're fine.
What if Chelsea beat Man City?
I mean, that'd be
we play
brilliant.
first before they play, and if Chelsea can beat Man City, then we don't need to beat Man City.
Oh no, that'd be unreal, wouldn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Liam Rossinha, I might, kiss him if he beats them. I can't see it. But it could, you never know. Like if Chelsea turn up, they're not a bad side still. They've still got some, things to sort out, but they can do it. But they'd had an awful week. They lost like 4 games in a row or something like that. It's been awful. They've lost more games in the last run that we have all season. You've got to remember that as well. And that's just it's not the Chelsea it used to be, obviously, and they've got a long way to go. But yeah, if they did beat them, they've done us a huge favour.
I can see City still dropping points to other teams anyway. I think for me, we have to remember that we lost to them in a cup final because they turned up as if it was a cup final, which it was.
Yeah.
True. They've been very inconsistent in the league, and I still think they're going to drop points in the league. I don't think we'll drop as many. I think, like we've said, I think the main one is them away. And yeah, you've got potential for West Ham being an issue, and potentially Newcastle, but being at home, I don't see it being too much of a problem.
No, it's true. Well, I'll give you Man City's running because they've got Liverpool in the FA Cup when they come back, which is not an easy game by any means. Then they've got Chelsea, big game, huge game. Yeah, and it depends. Obviously, that could be another defining of their season. They could just win all the cups if they can get past Liverpool. But Liverpool got nothing else to play for realistically, apart from maybe a Champions League spot. But they're not in great form. But Chelsea, Man City, I think, like I say, tough game. Chelsea at home, then they've got us. Then it's Burnley away, which they should win. Everton, they're away to Everton, which is again tough.
Game.
Everton are a funny old team, aren't they? They're actually pushing for European spots. I think they're 2 points behind Liverpool, I think, or something like that.
I could see them getting it. I could see them genuinely getting it. But Everton, I really like Everton as a team. Obviously, we had a good game against them, but they were tough to break down. It's only the last 10, 15 minutes that we managed to finally overcome it. But then City go to Brentford. At home to Brentford. Bournemouth away, and then they're home to Aston Villa on the last day. And again, Villa have been dropping off, but they can still play.
Well, they've still got something to play for, haven't they, in terms of being in Europe? So, yeah, sure. I'd say they've got a much harder run.
Running. Do you reckon we've got a tough running?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think we've got a better running because the fact we're at home a lot more and we're hardly moving. I think that's what's been part of that context. So the running's always been a talk. We're hardly away from London, apart from the City game. I think we're kind of in a good spell of games and runs. So that does bode well for us. But again, whatever happens, we've just got to turn up. Which we have been all season, bar this gain. I think he's going to start. I run real blip. I know we've lost games, but stuff happens. But we're far enough ahead for it not to be hopefully too much of an issue. I think. But
I think that's what the real disappointment is with the weekend, was just the fact that we didn't turn up really and didn't fight for it.
Yeah.
That was, I think, why most people are kind of a bit like, ugh.
Yeah. If you turned up and they're fighting, you could see they were fighting for it. You'd have been like behind them. I mean, we were behind them. But it just didn't get going, did it? It was so bloody frustrating, I think, is the honest answer. But as I say, we just want to see fight. If they're running their socks off and they all collapsed at the end of it, I think would have been like, fair play, boys. We just got outmatched today. We got outbeaten, outclassed, and and to a certain extent, that's what's happened. But there wasn't enough emphasis on going for it. They just lacked it. But hopefully, let's be honest, it's experience. They're going to learn from this. Arteta's going to learn from this. Don't ever play Kepa again. I don't. To be honest, if we didn't even see Kepa next season in an Arsenal shirt again, cool, no problem. Let's give someone else a chance to get someone else in. We'll probably have to sell him for double, like 10 mil. Get rid and get someone else in. Let's get
give old Setford a chance. He looks good. I like him.
He's all right, mate. He's all right. But like I say, step up and give him a chance. Can't be.
He's all right lad.
That, so, yeah, he's a big lad as well. But that's it, I think, boys. I think that is it for us tonight. Yeah, thanks, but I appreciate it, Luca. Thanks for jumping in, mate.
Nice to meet you, Luca.
Tonight. Yeah, lovely to meet you, mate. And we'll reach out again, mate. If we're a man down, I'll let you know.
100%, bro. Thanks for having me on, man.
I appreciate your thoughts.
Nice to meet you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers, man. See you guys.
I'll
play us out. And boys, I'll speak to you at the end. Thanks everyone for joining. Yeah. Thanks for all the comments. Obviously, you've got a Luca fan club is joining as well, so we appreciate you reaching out. Remember to subscribe to the channel. We'll be back next Monday is the plan, and we'll talk about upcoming games. Maybe a bit of England. I'm not that fast, but really, it's all about Arsenal, as we know. The Arsenal forecast, guys. See you in the next one.